Hi, I'm Talia from Little House on Laurel. I know a lot of people are considering homeschooling this year, especially with the current circumstances of our world. I feel like there's not a lot of information out there for people who are considering homeschooling high schoolers. There's just not as many people that homeschool their kids in high school. So I have been homeschooling my high schoolers for 2 years. This will be our third year. And my oldest just graduated from our homeschool and is going to start taking classes from college online this semester. I just wanted to share with you my 8 best tips for homeschooling in high school, and it might help you make the decision to homeschool your high schooler, or if you've already decided to homeschool. And I just hope that this can be another resource for you. So tip number 1 is to focus on the why. Sometimes we have to make a quick decision about if we're going to take our kids out of public school, and there could be lots of different reasons why. For us, it had to do with my kids facing some peer issues, some bullying for one of my kids, and another had a lot of stress, an unhealthy amount of stress that was causing anxiety, and it was causing a lot of problems for our whole family because of it. So we decided to take our 2 oldest out of high school and start homeschooling. It's easy to doubt yourself when you have to make a decision like homeschooling your child. But I want you to remember that there's one thing that you have that you can give your child that no one else in public school can give them, and that is love and being 100% invested in your child. It's really going to make a big difference in your child's life. So just remember that when you are getting your feet wet and taking the plunge into homeschooling this year, that you love your child, and that will make the big difference. Tip number 2 is that the how you homeschool will come. You don't have to know all of the answers right away. You just know that homeschooling is the right thing for you and your family, and you're going to figure it out. There's so many different curriculums to choose from, and you don't have to choose just one curriculum that will fulfill all of the different subjects. Feel free to pick and choose and ask around and find out what people like, and look into other options too. There are online classes that you can take that will actually give your high schooler credit. There are free online curriculums. You might also consider doing a co-op if you think your student needs to be able to see other peers. They can get together once a week or once a month with other homeschoolers and learn some subjects, and the parents can take turns teaching. So that's an option too. Don't think that you have to do everything yourself at home. Make sure that you talk to your teen and find out how they like to learn. Maybe they prefer working independently, or maybe they feel like being led by you and working with you on certain subjects would be beneficial. Maybe they think taking an online class would be helpful too. So make sure you include them in the decisions that you make. And one other thing that you need to look into is your state laws regarding homeschooling. You want to make sure that you're doing everything right. Some states require that your student is tested every year to make sure that they're staying up where they should be. Other states require that you keep track of what classes you're teaching to your student, so kind of making a transcript for them. And other states might make you check in regularly with a certified teacher if you don't have a college degree. So just look into those, but please don't let that deter you. It's really not difficult to meet those standards, and there are Facebook groups and different ways to figure out how you can navigate that. Okay, my tip number 3 is to create a haven. So you've decided you're going to homeschool and your teenager is going to be home pretty much all the time now. You want to make sure that your home is a place where everyone can work together, hopefully get along most of the time, and just feel safe and make it a good learning environment. If your teenager isn't perfectly satisfied or perfectly happy with your decision to homeschool them, remind them of some of the positives. Like, they're not going to have any homework. So when they're done with school, they're done. Their evenings are free. If your teenager would like a spot of their own to work on their schoolwork, try to carve out a little area in their bedroom where they can work on their schoolwork privately. Respect your teenager and their ideas. Be open to any suggestions that they have for how they'd like to do homeschool. There's going to be hard times, for sure. There's going to be some times where you maybe feel like you're done. You don't want to do this. Your teenager might get overwhelmed or they might get confused with the subject. There may be days when you need a break from each other or you need a break from the schedule. Just give yourself some grace and give your child some grace. It's much better than the alternative, which is trying to push through it and fight through it, and it doesn't create a good atmosphere or a good feeling, and it can ruin your homeschool experience. The way you interact with your teenager regarding homeschooling can either really strengthen your relationship with your child or it can pull you apart. Okay, my tip number 4 is don't try to replicate regular school. This does not have to look like public school at all. You don't have to stand up in front of your kids and teach them the lesson of the day. So really, if you've just made the decision to homeschool, your home isn't set up for homeschooling. That's okay. You don't have to have a dedicated room for homeschooling. You can if you want, but you don't have to. You don't have to have desks for your kids. We have done that route when my kids were younger, and there's good things about it, but now we just use the kitchen table. And I love it because my kids can be working on their schoolwork at the table and I can be working on things in the kitchen or doing the laundry, and I'm close by if they need any help, but I don't have to be by their side for hours and hours up in a schoolroom. So for us, it works out great. Okay, tip number 5 is to embrace the freedom. If you're homeschooling, you don't have to follow the school district schedule. You can choose your own vacation days. You can decide maybe you want to do school 4 days a week and then take Fridays to either do a co-op or go on little field trips or do something fun together. We used to do that when my kids were younger. Last year, we decided that we were going to kind of do an experiment and do our schedule like they do at some colleges. For math, language arts, and history, my kids did that Monday, Wednesday, Friday. And then on Tuesday and Thursday, we did science, ACT prep, and world language. So that was nice because it broke it up. They didn't have to work on every subject every day, and they got a little break from the other subjects that they weren't doing that day. My tip number 6 for homeschooling in high school is to get organized. Yes, you're going to have to get organized. There are some main things that everyone does need to do to get organized. So number 1 is to gather your curriculum and your supplies. Art supplies, supplies you'll need for science, binders, notebook paper. The curriculum I know is a big thing, a big deal. I might do another video on that later if there's enough interest, but there's just so many different kinds of curriculum out there that it would be difficult for me to go over that right now. And then you need to make sure that if your student is taking any online classes or they want to be involved in a co-op, you need to sign them up for those classes as soon as possible. Designate an area in your home that will have school books, notebooks, extra notebook paper, pencils, pens, glue sticks, all of that. If it's a bookshelf in the living room or a drawer in the kitchen, just make sure you have somewhere where things can stay semi-organized. You need to make a plan for the coming year. So for example, you can say, my child will complete geometry this year. So then break that down into monthly goals, such as we're going to finish 1 unit every month or whatever. It has to, you have to figure it out so that they'll complete it over the year. But if your goal is I will complete 1 unit every month, then you can take that and break it down into the 4 weeks of school that you have for the month. And one thing I make sure to do is to schedule in any holidays that we have or any planned activities so that we're not putting school on those days when we're going to be busy with something else. I'm also going to try something this year that I'm going to do a little bit different, and that's to schedule in a makeup day every month. So if my child gets sick one day or something comes up and they don't finish their schoolwork one day, we have one makeup day. So if we get off schedule a little bit, hopefully that makeup day is going to get us back on track. As far as making the monthly plan, I have a monthly planner that I've made, and I'm going to put that up as a freebie on my blog that you can go and get and use. So after you've scheduled that out, you can have your child copy that into their weekly planner, and then you can have them figure out how they want to complete it daily to get it done by the end of the week. Goals are important, my friends, and I'll talk about that now with tip number 7. You want to work towards independence. Some teens work great independently and get everything done, and others need a lot of hand-holding, especially at first. But your goal is to help them become independent so they'll be ready when they get to college to work on their own and be successful. So during our first year of homeschooling high schoolers, I made a great plan. I wrote down their assignments for every single day of the week, and every week I gave them a new weekly plan that had all those assignments, and they were very successful. They got everything done because it was all laid out for them. So then last year I thought, well, they need to start being a little bit more independent. So I gave them due dates. This is when you need to have your unit whatever done. And I thought they could figure out and put in their planners the assignments so that they would be finished on time by the due date. Well, that didn't go so well. It was a little too much independence, and I had to keep pushing the due date back. So this year I am going to find some middle ground. With my freshman and senior, I plan to make monthly goals and then break those down into weekly assignments that need to be completed, and then my kids can schedule in their weekly planners how they're going to get those assignments done. So a lot more hand-holding, but a little more freedom. So hopefully they can learn how to organize their time and their schedule. Okay, my last tip for homeschooling high schoolers is to look to the future. Does your teen know if they want to attend college? Do they know where they want to attend? My teens had a good idea of what colleges they were interested in. We looked into what the application process is for homeschoolers at those schools, and those universities were mostly interested in their ACT and SAT scores. And then they also wanted to know if the students had taken the classes that are required for high school in our state. I've been careful to make sure that in my state, if the student is supposed to have 4 years of math to graduate, that my kids are taking 4 years of math for high school. If they need 3 years of science, we're doing 3 years of science. So I'm making sure that they stay up on those subjects. And then we are doing ACT prep books and courses, and I've scheduled that into their school day as well. My daughter, who graduated from homeschool just a few months ago, I got accepted into the college that she wanted to. She starts her classes online this coming semester. If your teen knows what kind of job they want to get after high school or after graduation, if possible, have them do a vocational training during their senior year of homeschool. This gives your child the opportunity to see what the job is really like and if they would actually like to be working that as a full-time job. All right, well, I'm really excited for you and your homeschooling adventures, and I hope that you liked this video. Please remember to subscribe to my YouTube channel. And if you have any questions or comments, please leave those below. I will link to my blog post with more details in the description. I'll see you later. Bye. Hey, I just wanted to pop in really quick and let you know that I made a couple of homeschool planners that you can download for free and print. I have weekly planners, And I made monthly planners for every month of the year. So if you're a homeschooler year-round, then I've got you covered. Anyway, you can find these at bit.ly/homeschoolplanners. And I hope you can use this.